You're listening to the Courtyard Club Call by the Scarf Bagara War, part of the Talksport fan network, by county fans, for county fans.
And welcome to another episode of the Courtyard Club Call. I'm not Jimmy Harmer. Jimmy has gone away to serve his community service for crimes against county, but he will be back for the Peterborough game. So this is episode 43. We're going to deep dive into the Rotherham home game, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to be joined by Rolo and Stuart Hope. Hi guys, how are you?
Not bad. A lot better since yesterday.
Evening, Dan. Evening, Rolo. How you doing, lads?
Not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
So, Rolo, have you recovered from your itchy spell the last time you were on? I believe you haven't itched like that since you were 18 years old and seeing a girl from Brennington.
You know it, dear. Yeah, no, I have, and I've made sure that I've got the the true colours on today, just to make sure that no one can sort of question my my loyalties anymore. It was purely war for charity, and we managed to raise another 50 quid for a fantastic charity in St Anne's Hospice.
So, do you know how much you've sort of raised so far this season?
We're up to about 600 quid. About 600 quidish, but we've got a bit of a push at the moment. Kieran's with me lad, he's pushing it online about doing he's gonna have and we've got a charity football match coming up, which I'm dreading, to be honest, because I've not played for a few years. So yeah. So we'll have to see. But he's about cutting his hair like R9 or something and letting me dye it any colour if we reach a certain amount. So yeah, get investing, guys, get the money in. I've said that shave his eyebrows off, but we'll see.
Yeah, and you're still obviously taking Tanto round to the games and Our Ladies after and before the game if people want to donate a little bit of money and have a photo with Tanto.
Yeah, we will get him back. We will get one actually properly. I think we're gonna have to have a pub crawl. I think around some of the pubs, purely for charity purposes, nothing to do with the few pints we'll have in each one, but purely for the charity reasons. See what we can do. I know that not everyone goes in Ireland. Well, yeah. I mean, listen, if I buy a pint and someone wants to buy Tanto a pint in terms of putting, £4 in there, that probably gone up now. £4 in there, into the fund. More than happy to do that.
Sounds good.
Right, so let's have start with the lineup for Saturday's game against Rotherham. It was an unchanged lineup from the Exeter game. I know, obviously, the first team list that went out was a little bit of a mistake on there, but it was the same starting 11. Obviously, Corriadai in goal, a back four of Hills, Fraser, Ethan Pye, and Torre. You sort of holding midfielders, first two midfielders was Moxon and Norwood. We've then Diamond and Fevs on sort of like the next two with Wotton and Tanto up front. So I think we sort of now start calling it a 4-2-2-2. But they say them front four are very fluid in where they go. Tanto sort of goes on basically anywhere he wants, and we see a lot of Jack Diamond coming into the middle and sort of playing that sort of traditional number 10 role as well. Guys, was that what you were expecting for your lineups today on that Saturday?
Yeah, I pretty much expected the same team. I wasn't sure if Moxon would make it, but yeah, I expected the same. I'm not sure. I mean, Fevrier obviously a lot deeper sometimes, but yeah, that was the feel I got in terms of what I see there.
Yeah, I went on my fan hub. I went for a back three with Noyle on the right, and I took Fevs out. But yeah, should have really kept Fevs in because he's been on fire, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think the big change is obviously with the substitute bench. We heard that Noyle's picked up an injury. Obviously, Powell's picked up an injury as well in training, so hopefully they're not going to be out for too long. It was nice to see that Jay Mingy obviously got a place on the bench and obviously came on late on in the game as well. But yeah, Moxon obviously picked up a cut and a broken nose in the Exeter game. And as Dave Challoner said, that's two of them with broken noses and made uglier players look even uglier, I think were his words. But yeah, so that was the starting 11. And yeah, I mean, it was one of them games for me. I was very optimistic. I thought Rotherham might be a bit of one of them teams, if we give them something to hang on to, that might be a bit of a problem to break down, especially after their midweek exploits of sort of hanging on to something. And like I said, the way we start games as well, and especially Exeter, I expected us to be really on the front foot and really go for it. It didn't work out that way. And like I say, when they scored after 9 minutes, I was like, oh, we've really got to find a few more gears to get up in here because this might be a struggling afternoon. What were you guys thinking, Rolo, especially that sort of first 5 minutes of the game?
So, before they scored, I thought we looked quite busy, and I thought, right, we look like we're up for it, which is a good start. Not, it's like anything, you've got to grow into games sometimes, haven't you? And the first half kind of panned out a bit, I suppose boring is probably the word. We kind of bored ourselves to tears in terms of being slow and lackluster. But the first 10 minutes until they scored, I thought we started well, and then obviously we concede the goal, which I think it's. I think if I'm Dave Challoner, I'm really disappointed with how we defended that. So yeah, but Rotherham, I think you've got to give them a lot of credit. They're a team very much in transition, aren't they? More with the new manager and everything. And I'm sure a player who I loved at County and listening to him and whatnot. So yeah, I think 'cause I expected them to do well this year as well. I had them doubts on my team to go up. So I think next season under a manager like that, I think they'll do well.
How about you, Stu?
Yeah, similar to Rolo. I said to my mate Steve, who comes on here on the courtyard, I said, whenever we start well, I always feel like we sort of fade after about 15 minutes. It's just a superstition I've got. And he went, no, we'll be fine. And we carried on playing all right. And then obviously they got that. It was, let's face it, it was probably it was their first attack of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, if we talk about that chance, I mean, it's obviously broken down their left-hand side. They've put a cross in. I think it's between Pye and Torre. They need to do better. It seems that the players come off the wing behind Torre and got in front of him and won the header. And like you say, I don't know if it's all Torre's fault or what. If that was really Pye should have been a little bit better, but it does seem that we were sort of just fell asleep for that one sort of moment, and we got punished for it.
I thought we looked like we had a good line. Torre had tucked in. We were defending centrally because they were attacking out wide. I thought Torre got caught a bit flat-footed for the goal. I think what's the lad called? Was he called Mings? What's the lad called who scored?
Wilts.
I mean, he got a decent leap on him, and I think Tanto got caught a bit flat-footed. And you've got to give the lad credit. It was a good header.
Yeah,
it was good. And I know Adai had a bit of stick that he could have done better. I don't really think he could have done much more, really, Adai myself.
Yeah, I was going to say that Adai seemed to get some stick I saw on social media, and I don't think he was anywhere near it. Not as in could have saved it. I think he weren't. That weren't nowhere near. There was more. If it was defended properly, that was the letdown, not Adai's reflexes.
No, I mean the thing is, there's two things about that goal. The first one, the cross, is a fantastic cross. There's lots of pace on it. It's the pace that lets him flick it in. And then the goal, the header itself is a great header. It's how you tell strikers head balls, head it down into the corners. So yeah, for me, Adai's not done a thing wrong there. There's nothing he can do about that. Should be coming for that shot, but it's hard to come for a cross that's that whipped in like that as well. So yeah, the two defenders for me. But I don't like assigning blame, as it were. But I think what we said there with Torre, if he's let him come across him, and you can't do that. You just can't do that as a defender.
But definitely, I agree with you guys on that. If anybody thought Corey was at fault for that goal, which I don't think he was, he definitely sort of 10 minutes later on the 21st minute, he sort of like pulled it out of the bag, made a fantastic save for me, down to his left-hand side. I think it was Powell that had a shot from just up 18 yards, and it's sort of one of them shots that looks like it's going into the side of the net. And one of the things that I know Corey has been criticised for about his speed of getting down to sort of save them sort of shots. But yeah, I thought that was a top save at that point that really kept us in the game, because I thought if that goes in, it's 2-0 down after 20 minutes. And like you say, then we really have a mountain to climb.
Yeah. I think the thing about that save you're talking about, Dan, as well, he got down really well, really quickly. But he parried it out, but he didn't parry it into a dangerous area. Whereas at the start of the season, he was probably doing that once or twice, and we might have got caught out from it. But this time, he palmed it well out to the left. And I think it almost even went out for a throw-in. So, yeah, I think for that, you've got to give Adai a bit of credit. There's some people in the Bagara stand behind me, slating him all game, even when he made that save. Why is he not catching it? Get a grip.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, with Adai, the save, if for what it is, I expect him to make that save, because that's how good a shot stopper he is. That isn't the areas of his game for me that need looking at. It's his command of his area. And what I've seen over the last few weeks is that he's starting to do that. Okay, he's not doing it every time, and he's still learning, but he's coming out collecting, and the more he grows in confidence, the more he does it, the better he's going to get at it. And you're seeing signs of what they're working on with him coming into the game. Make a decision, he's making it, he's sticking with it, he's not anticipating and then coming back. He's doing, and he's learning, hopefully, from what is, in my opinion, Ben's strength is command of his area. He's always done it. He's got a perfect mentor there. So,
well, I think that was the only save that Corey made actually all game. Was that one on the 21st minute. We sort of, from that point, I thought we started to control the game, get back into the game, dictate the possession and what we were doing and moving the ball about well. The first sort of real chance I've written down that I felt we should have done better was on the 32 minutes, Torre, free header. I thought it was easier to score than what it was to miss, and he's managed to head it high up in the air from about 6 yards out, and really all he had to do was head it down, and it, for me, he would have made the goalkeeper work or had a good chance of scoring for me. So yeah, that 32-minute chance. Do you guys remember that one, the Torre free header?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good ball. It's probably about the only decent ball we put in the first half. There's a lot of pace on it, so I think that's probably the only thing that maybe, because it's come out in quick and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it did look a gilt-edged chance, didn't it? So, but yeah, I think we can forgive him for that one.
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was just wide of the left-hand post, wasn't he? Yeah. So he would have had to edit diagonally almost to get it inside the post. But yeah, it was unlucky. Like you say, it was a good cross, best cross of the half, and just unlucky.
Then on 42 minutes, I've written down my notes here. JD on ice is what I've written down. There's Jack Diamond. And I thought he's, like I say, as the game went on, he was picking up the ball, being a nuisance, carrying the ball, looking to go out, start on the outside, on the wing, on the touchline, and cut himself in. And that's what he's done. He's after a position, good play from County. We've kept the ball well. We've moved the ball about. And he's come to Jack Diamond. He's got a couple of touches, made his way basically to middle of the goal, and he's picked his spot, and curled it into that bottom corner, and it's a fantastic goal. Carl Wotton got an assist for it as well, but yeah, I just thought that was what we know that Jack Diamond can do and what we've hoping to been seen all season, and we're now starting to see what we expected from pre-season out of him.
Yeah, I think with Diamond as well. I think one of the things that and I've been saying this all season. I've wanted to see him more centrally. He's played a lot of his football in a central position. When he was at Sunderland, when he was out on loan, I think it was at Harrogate. He played very, very central in that kind of 10 role. And I've never quite understood. Well, I suppose I do, but I've always wanted to see him more in the middle, doing the things. Sometimes you need them players in the middle of the park that can run at players. And that's what he can do. The Rotherham back line was just backing off every time he got the ball. He just looked like he was going to do something every time. So it was a great finish. Just used the defender beautifully, didn't he? And he's got a lovely connection on it. It's a fantastic goal.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Rolo. I think because we're paying this 4-2-2, that position that Diamond had yesterday it's sort of left of a central 2, isn't it? So he is pretty central, but I think, and I could be wrong, I think if we hadn't re-signed Barry at the start of the season, I think Diamond would have been in that position from the start. I think cutting inside and doing what he does.
Yeah, definitely. But like I say, he's hitting the form at the right time of the season now. And like I say, we're starting to see, especially, we're starting to see Wootton as the better player. We've seen obviously what he can do with his back to goal, holding the ball up, bringing other players in, laying it off. We know what you can do. That he's a shire horse. He's big and he's strong and he can pull his weight that side. Now we're starting to see the racehorse of Wootton, because you've got players that are getting to the byline, putting crosses in, and he's attacking the goal as such. So yeah, when you've got players like Febs and Diamond playing in that position, I think we're now starting to see better players like Wootton starting to really sort of like look like players that really can take this league apart. So that's just to go through this. Obviously, the FOT Mob stats for the first half. We had 64% possession. Expected XG was 0.39. 6 shots, only 2 on target. So, not as we know we need to get them shots on target higher. One big chance, which I think was the Toure one, and that was missed. So yeah, passes, 226 passes, accurate passes, which is an 84% percentage, which was good. Yeah, so that is the first half. I am just before we get into the second half, I'm just going to play a little video. Right, so let's start the second half. I wasn't expecting any subs at halftime. I know we didn't get any at halftime. Were you guys expecting anything changing after we sort of finished that first half on the sort of like the front foot and all good, really?
I think it would have been. I think if we'd not scored, I think you'd have seen changes, and I think Charlie kind of alluded to that, didn't he? He said you've got 5 minutes to do it. I think possibly Moxon. He might have tried to put a bit more legs in there with Bailey, who was fantastic when he came on as well.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought maybe a bit more legs in certain areas because they were moving the ball quite well.
Yeah, as it was alluded to in the Brad Hills interview, that Charlie basically ripped him a whole new one at halftime, the whole team, and and like you said, that they're the grown men. They understand what they're meant to do and how they're meant to do it. And it, like you say, it did seem to have an effect. And I thought when the substitutions came at the 55-minute mark, which was Moxon and Febs coming off, I actually, for that point, I thought it was a bit harsh, because I actually thought the start of that second half, I thought Moxon and Febs actually looked really bright and really energetic, and were on the ball a lot. Like you say, it must obviously planned. They must have both been told they've got 10 minutes to show something, and they were going to come off anyway. But yeah, at that point, when, like I say, I thought they both, Moxon and Febs, were actually probably the start of the second half, our two most energetic and bright players on the pitch.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Febs had a bit of a slow first half by his recent standards, and we saw Bailey and Collar warming up in front of us at half time, and they were doing quite an intense warm up. It looked like something was happening, and we were talking about who was going off, and like you do, you speculate who's going off, what's happening with the shape, and this, that, and the other. And then they came out. It was the same 11, just with a bit more intensity.
Yeah.
And then after 10 minutes, Callie decided he still wanted to freshen it up, and it worked.
Yep. So at 55 minutes, Bailey came on for Moxon and Collar came on for Febs. And at that point, I actually thought Bailey was going to sort of play more in a central midfield role, like where Moxon was, and Collar out on the wing. But it weren't. It was actually Bailey out on the right hand side, where obviously Febs was, and Collar sort of went more into the central midfield area to solid that up. And what I thought after that, sort of like obviously between 55 minutes and them substitutions being made to 60 minutes when Brad Hill scores, we started to be a lot more quicker and urgency to them second balls. We were a lot more relentless with our pressure, and not letting Rotherham out easily. And that sort of built up to obviously the goal, where we've had a couple of shots, deflections, corners. We recycled the ball really, really well. And like I say, obviously Brad Hills is in that position because he's come up for the corner. He's in the same sort of position as Torre was actually in the first half for his header that he missed. It's worked itself out. We recycled it. We've won the second ball. It's come out to Odin Bailey, and he's chipped in sort of like wedged it in the sort of the perfect sort of looping cross for Brad Hills just to steamroller onto. And you could see that Brad Hills was smiling as he headed that ball because he knew as soon as he made contact that was going in the back of the net.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can imagine away from the pitch. I reckon he's balmy, Brad Hills. I really do. But he's a fantastic player, and what we need to do a lot more of is putting a lot more better quality in the box for players like Wills and Fraser and Woods and players like that, because that was probably the best cross of the match. But we didn't, we get in these areas and we don't always provide the proper quality. That one we did. Bailey, when he came on, he was. I think what changed was we started making better decisions in terms of where to pass the ball, rather than sort of going back to then come in. It was going straight out wide instead of going there to go out wide. It was just making some of those things and just making them have to shift across the pitch a bit more. So,
it's a bit
I think that. Yeah, it's that you've got to move the ball a bit quicker into areas. You've got to move teams about. You can't just play in front of them. You've got to try and if you're going to play round it, you've got to do it quick. And I thought we did that. I thought we did that a lot. Much better second half.
Yeah, miles better. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Did anyone you watched the Brad Hills interview? Did anyone get that feeling that when he said to him, you're looking at next season, that he was dying to go, yeah, I'm coming here permanent? You know what I mean? I just that's what I was waiting for him to turn around and say.
Yeah.
Like I've said, I know Norwich think highly of him. He's a Norwich lad, born in Norwich. I think all his family are all Norwich City supporters. He's got, I think, another 2 years on his contract with an option of another year on top of that. Like I say, we might get him on loan. That is a possibility. Because you look at him and you think, well, he's only 21. That's the thing. And it's a big step up from League One to Championship player. I have got no doubt that Brad Hills will play Premier League football at some point in his career, because I look at him. I think he reminds me actually of Dan Burns at Newcastle. Actually, I know he's got the height and the physique, but yeah, I just like him. And like I said, I think the other week on the live show that I think he's captain material. He's got everything that the fans love. He's got pace. He's got speed. He's got that little bit of shithousery. He loves to wind somebody up. He's he's one of them players you love. He's gonna be a fan's favorite no matter what team he plays in. And like you said, if we had him from the beginning of the season, I'd be no question that he'd probably be in the running for Young Player of the Year, if not Player of the Season, because I think he's what we've seen out of him for such a little period of time. If we had him from pre-season at the beginning of the season, I think he would have been another level up from where he is now.
Yeah, I think he'll be in Norwich's team next year not in the Premiership, in the Championship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
selfish part of me, he's not. He's back here, That's just the selfish part of me. But yeah, I think you're right. He could end up, getting straight into their team. I don't know enough about Norwich's defence to be honest to be able to sort of say that. But yeah, you would hope that for him that he's obviously in and around their side, wouldn't you? But it'd be nice to think that maybe he's just like the rest of us falls in love with County and wants to come.
Yeah, I think. It might be another situation with Louis Barry that if Norwich say at the beginning of the season that you need to go out on loan, you're not quite ready for our first team. I think if we go knocking, then like you say, he knows what we're about, the environment and everything like that. I think, and especially same again for it must be brilliant for him personally in his development to be working alongside Clint Hill and Dave Challoner, two central defenders that were absolutely fantastic in what they do and played up and down in different levels between them, and to sort of learn from them two. And same again, he's come to us and he's playing as a right back or a right central, right centre defender as a part of a three. I think he said that that's all new to him. He's not played that, so he's adding, strings to his bow. He's adding different skill sets, and he's becoming a better player for me. So. If he goes out on loan from Norwich next season, I won't be gobsmacked if we're not in the running for him next season. And we've still got 4 league games and 3 playoff games left to go this season. So, hopefully we haven't seen the best of him yet. So that's obviously the Brad Hills goal. Obviously, Odin Bailey an assist. Let's say again, at that point, I thought Odin really, really pulled up his socks, and it had a point to prove. We all obviously heard the rumours about the Burton game. So I think he had a point to prove when he got on the pitch, and I thought he was a real bright spark in energy levels. I've always said that Odin Bailey's a really tidy footballer. He doesn't really give the ball away when he's got it. But like you say, I thought he sort of knocked us up a gear when he came on. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. I was sat in the main stand, the Bagara stand, and he was on my side. He was on that side when he came on, and watching the defenders trying to mark him, they just didn't know what he was going to do. He would sort of feint to go right, so the defender would go right, and then he's off and he's inside.
Yeah,
and he's left the defender for dead, he was brilliant for me. Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. He brought a bit of energy in there. Good decision making, and like you said, he's quite neat and tidy. And getting that decision making right is obviously the key to opening teams up. And I thought he did that. And I thought him and even Collar when he came on as well. I think both of them added a little bit more to us. So yeah, they both did well.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I noticed as well in that second half, apart from winning them second balls a lot quicker, being more relentless with putting the pressure on Rotherham, we started taking shots from here, there, and everywhere. In that second half, 11 shots in total. 5 of them were inside the box, but 6 of them were outside the box. And if you look back at our previous games this season, we've had 6 shots from outside the box in one half. Most games, we don't even actually have 6 shots outside the box for the 90 minutes. So it just seemed that, like you say, we just started to take, really put the pressure on, maybe not overpass it. If there was an opportunity to shoot, take that shot. I don't know if they've seen, going to make this goalkeeper work or whatever, or that Dave Challen has mentioned it before, that the players have to give the fans something to create the energy and get them behind it. And, for me, nothing does better than that, than a crunching tackle, or, a good shot on goal, or making their goalkeeper work, or, forcing a mistake or something like that. And like I say, just all them little things in that second half that we started seeing that, that's good about Dave Challen county team, I thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, with the players that we've got as well, shooting from outside of the box, I think it's something we should definitely be doing a little bit more. You've got players like Moxon, Norwood, Diamond. These are players that can hit a good ball. In terms of it, Bate when he's fit. These are players that know where the back of the net is from that sort of range. I think I must admit, it baffled me a bit on the thing because they were letting Fevs take set pieces, weren't they, with free kicks? Because I was expecting Norwood. I think in the first, I know to the first half, and it was one where they had a free kick. I think Norwood's going to hit this, and then Fevs had it, and I thought, surprised by that, because Norwood being the free kick specialist, and Powell, he's another one that he's, I know he's not fit very often, but when he is fit and playing, he can do those things as well. But yeah, we've definitely got players that can do it. We've definitely got players that can do it, and I'm not saying they're going to score every time, but certainly make the keeper work.
Yeah, we definitely worked the keeper quite a bit yesterday with the longer shots, definitely. Yeah.
So that builds us up to the 73rd minute, which is Wootton's goal. But obviously, before Wootton scored, obviously Rotherham on the attack. Ethan's sort of shoulder to shoulder his man, I thought. I don't think Ethan's actually made a tackle. Their attackers tried to cut the ball back, and for me, sort of falling over his own feet and gone to ground, looking for a penalty, wasn't given. And then within sort of 3 passes, Ethan Pye's got the ball, and he's slid the ball in for me, which was a lovely ball, and something that, same again, I want to see more. I want to see the ball putting down the channel for Wootton or Tanto to run onto, and Wootton's sort of turned his man, beating him, steadied himself up, and then slotted it in the bottom corner, which I thought was a fantastic goal. A brilliant assist by Pye. Yeah, and that sort of, for me, killed the game. And we got that was the reward for all the work and hard work we had been doing in that second half. Was it a penalty for you guys to start off with?
No, and I'll tell you why, because I've seen it back, and I thought I'm going to wait this time and see it back on there. It's Ills that comes across, and he cuts back in Wilkes, and I'm not saying there's not contact, because there is, but the way he falls over was a little bit embarrassing at one point, and then he starts having a tantrum in the area. Now, if the ref had given it, you'd have gone, that is really soft, really, really soft. But you could have possibly excused the fact because there was contact. Is there enough contact for him to fall like that? Not for me. Not for me, there wasn't. So no. And then obviously the goal, fantastic work by Wootton, by the way. His body, great body movement in terms of how he shaped himself there to beat the defender. But no, not a pen for me.
Yeah, I didn't really see it, to be honest. I was too far away. I sound like Arsene Wenger, don't I? I didn't see it. I didn't see it. No, yeah, I was too far away. Didn't see it. I saw him go down, obviously, and from where I was, it was a bit of an intake of breath. Like, ooh, what's he going to give?
But, yeah, I think everybody, obviously, because obviously the referee that we had was the same referee that we had not many weeks ago in Northampton away, where he'd obviously given a free kick which Northampton scored on for a clash of heads, and then obviously disallowed a goal for Cosgrove. But I thought he was he went where in that game he was very soft of things. this game, he sort of gone the absolute opposite when he was refereeing. He was, unless it was a clear foul, he wasn't going to give it and let the play sort of carry on.
I thought it was shit. I think he's a terrible referee, and how he's managed to get one of our games again is beyond belief. I think he's one of the worst referees we've ever had. He looks like 2 stone overweight. Now, listen, I'm a fat get, so I'm overweight. You know what I mean? But I'm not a professional referee. I sit in an office or whatnot when I do my job. No, not for. I really hope we don't get a big game like the playoffs or something like that. I really wouldn't want to have him refereeing us because I think he's absolutely useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, 3? I don't know how many weeks it was now since Northampton, but obviously there was a big hoo-ha about. Is that the game Charlie got booked as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the only time in his managerial career I think he's actually been booked.
Yeah. So I mean, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? And then they go and give you that same referee a few weeks later.
Yeah.
What you think?
No doubt we'll get that Simon Mather next time on one from Wrexham. We'll have him next without Liner. No doubt in the playoff.
Yeah.
But he's Lee Swaby. He's gonna, he's got the same name as me, Lee. Not all Lees are obviously great. It's but he's no, not for me. I'd never want to see Lee Swaby ref in a Stockport County game again. He's just not.
He's just
not. I wouldn't let him ref a Sunday League game. That's how bad I think he is. And going back to the penalty, with it, I know he's not given the penalty. And the funny thing is, I think if you have VAR in that game, not that I'd ever encourage it. And I'm sure that any Rotherham fan that's listening to this will say, yeah, we don't VAR either. That might have got given on VAR just purely on the fact that it's contact on there. But I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's probably one of the few decisions he got right throughout the game. So, but yeah, still shite. Never come back to county again, please.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So, obviously Wotton slotted that in, and then I say for the rest of the game, I thought it was just very, very much their heads had completely dropped. I think it was just we total control of it. Played it about. Obviously, you've then got a few minutes left where obviously he's brought on, for me, which was probably a brilliant sign, with Jay Mingy coming on for the last sort of few minutes, which, like I say again, for me, brilliant news. I thought this is a lad that I thought at the beginning of the season, we hadn't even seen the goal when he was on the pitch at the beginning of the season. Played, I think, in the first 3 games, all clean sheets, and then, like you say, struggled to get this fitness. I know Dave Challoner's mentioned it. There's a condition or something wrong with his training program that's stifled his getting to fitness, and they were looking to put him out on loan in January, but obviously because of this condition, they've not done that, and they've kept him at county to work on him. And to see him come on for the last few minutes is just as good as watching Hills or Diamond or Wotton score for me, because he's another player that could be an absolute massive important player for us going forward to the end of the season.
No, I agree with that.
I think he will. I think he will as well. When we signed him, I was well chuffed that we signed him, but obviously didn't quite go to plan. But I think if he's still here next year, even if we're in the Championship, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll do a decent job for us.
I think with the injuries we've picked up as well, I think a a wing back, as it were. Because I still don't think Fevre is a wing back. I still think he's an out winger. For me, I wouldn't let Fevre cross the halfway line. I'd leave him there and say, right, you're just going to go and terrorise the defence on there. But someone like Mingy coming back in there now, because he can defend, he's quick. He could be a big difference for us. And I know that sounds silly to not play that much football, but he's obviously a good player. What I've seen of him, he's looked a good player. If we keep him fit, going in there, having another option at right wing back role, I think would be important for us.
Yeah, definitely. So that's one more game ticked off. That leaves us now 4 games left of the season. 2 at home, 2 away. The next game is Good Friday, which will be Peterborough away, who have hopefully will be on the lash tonight after winning the Vita pizza trophy or whatever we want to call it this week against Birmingham. 2-0 win against Birmingham. A really good win, actually. If you've not seen the goals or the highlights of that game, go and watch them because, a couple of cracking goals there were in that game and really made Birmingham look very, very ordinary, to be honest. And considering, like I say, the makeshift team as well, because a lot of their players that have been performing well for Peterborough lately are all loan players that have already played in the competition. So we're cup tied. Like Hughes, Hughes weren't playing because he was cup tied. Obviously, he won't be playing on Friday because he's a loan player, which he's not allowed to play against his parent team. But yeah, so say 2 at home, 2 away. All looking exciting at the moment. Obviously, we're currently on points wise. We are currently on 77 points. Obviously, there's 12 points to play for, so the maximum we can finish the season on is 89 points. You currently got, obviously, that second spot is occupied by Wrexham on 82, and then Wickham are just behind them on 81. So, obviously, the maximum we can get is 89. Obviously, if Wickham or if Wrexham get 7 points out of their 4 games, they'll finish above us. And same, like I say, with Wickham, if they get 8 points, they'll finish on 89, the same as us. And I think both teams have got better goal differences than us at the moment, so they'd finish above us. But it's still all there to play for. We've seen, obviously, Wrexham drop points at the weekend. Wickham, until the last 30 seconds of the game, were also dropping points as well. So anything can happen. It's all still there to play for. But my personal opinion, I think we're playing for that 3rd spot, especially the fact that we play Wickham, obviously, the last game of the season. I think that 3rd spot is definitely there to grab hold of. And obviously, by having that 3rd spot means that we play the 6th team that end up in the league table in the playoffs, with the first leg being on a Saturday away from home. As it would stand, that would be Reading away at home on the Saturday, and then would play, off the top of my head, either the Wednesday or the Thursday at home in the second leg. So, I think that's all to play for. The team I think I'd want to miss at the moment in the semis would be Charlton Athletic. I think they are got a good, decent bit of form like what we have at the moment. And so they're the team that I think I'd really want to sort of miss until the final of the playoff finals. Have you guys looked at the table and had any thoughts about it, or are you just sort of taking it one game at a time and sort of not worry about it and just what will be, will be?
I've had a sneaky peek. Listen, I'll be honest with you, I've had every calculation out who we're going to get, everything, in terms of it. Charlton, I kind of agree with you. Missing Charlton might be better than just a one-off game. I think the games we've played against them, I think they were very much the dominant side in the first game. We were very much the dominant side in the second game, and there's not been much between the two teams. I think what they've got is they've got a lot there that can hurt you in terms of pace and power. So yeah, I think they're probably the ones I'd like to avoid. Although Wickham, obviously, they slapped us at home, didn't they? But they seem to be a bit of a different animal. Reading, we've beaten twice. Obviously, they're different manager. I don't know how far they can go, or although they've lost obviously players like Sam Smith, so they've obviously stepped up since. Bolton seem to be bottling it. So yeah, there's a lot there. But for what it's, in truth, I don't really fear anyone because I think I've seen, of all the teams I've seen this season, we're still the best team that I've seen, on our day. And listen, Birmingham, fantastic outfit. Wickham at Esley Park were fantastic. But I still think on our day, we've been the best team I've seen anyway. So I believe whoever we get, we're gonna win.
I agree, Rolo. I'm not bothered who we get because I back us to win. We'll control the game, whether that's control it by just letting them have the ball and not letting them break us down, or control it by pushing them back. I just really, really do believe we're gonna control whoever it is we play against. We'll control the game, and if we're controlling the game, there's no reason why we can't win.
Yeah, and that's it. I think out of all the teams that are up there, And it's no disrespect to any of the other managers. It's really not. But we've got the best manager out of them. We've got the most experienced manager in terms of playoffs, and promotions. So yeah, I'm, in terms of you've got Charlie there. You know that we're in good hands to go and do what we need to do. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say this, but I actually think we're in the playoffs. I do, and I shouldn't say it, but I actually think.
Yeah, I think Challen is now in the top 10 for the longest service EFL managers.
Is he really?
Yeah, I think he's in the top 10 now of the longest serving EFL managers. So, and hopefully, that continues for another, as long as it does, to be honest, because I think he can write his own destiny at this club as the all-time greatest, which is saying something. Obviously, we've got 4 games left. Peterborough up first, then we have Huddersfield, then Lincoln, and then obviously last day at Wycombe Wanderers. Obviously, them last 3 games are all quite interesting and something to prove because they're all teams that have already beaten us this season. Currently, there's no team that's beaten us home and away this season. Which I think, same again, if we can get through the season with that stat that nobody's actually double-headed us, will be another sort of really good testament to that team to prove that that we haven't we've been in every game really. So yeah, that's interesting. It's all exciting now. Obviously, the next game, like I said, is Peterborough on Friday. We were looking to do the Courtyard Club call on a Saturday morning to get that out early for you guys. So you've obviously can absorb it and get it in before the Huddersfield game at Edgeley Park on the Easter Monday. Apart from that, thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I've got nothing else to sort of say really about the Rotherham game. Like I say, just a good first half, a bit drib. Second half, definitely improvement, and like you say, just another game ticked off and roll on to the next one.
Yeah, agreed.
Bit of sunshine, few beers, and a county win. Can't fault it.
Yeah, right. So with that, we'll see you all next time. See you later.
Cheers to that.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!